Welcome back to Reds Fusion LFC, your one hub for all things Liverpool. Huge news, Reds. Sweden Alexander Isac has reportedly agreed a 5-year deal with Liverpool as Newcastle await an official bid. With a £340 million boost and Luis Diaz potentially on his way out, the Isak transfer makes perfect sense, and we're not stopping there, another sensational striker could be on the way too. Don't miss a second of this transfer drama, smash that like, drop a comment with your thoughts, and make sure to share this video with your fellow Reds. Subscribe to Reds Fusion LFC for all the breaking updates. Alexander Isac agrees 5-year deal with Liverpool as Newcastle United await bid. Liverpool are expected to table a bid for Newcastle United striker Alexander Isac. Newcastle United are braced for a British record bid from Liverpool for Alexander Isac. Isak has informed Newcastle that he wishes to leave this summer following an informal approach from the Premier League champions just under a fortnight ago. Eddie Howe's squad are currently in the Far East, but Isak, according to the club, has stayed at home due to a minor thigh injury. But because of the speculation, people are drawing their own conclusions. Following 4 days in Singapore, which ended with a narrow 3-2 defeat to Arsenal, the Magpies have now jetted off to Seoul in South Korea, but Howe says there is no chance of Isak joining up with the team ahead of matches against the K-League All-Stars and Tottenham Hotspur. Liverpool set to table Alexander Isak bid. Just like Singapore, Newcastle's trip to Seoul will be dominated by talk of Isak's future, with Liverpool widely expected to accelerate a move, having on Sunday agreed to sell Luis Diaz to Bayern Munich for a reported £65 million. Sky Sports Switzerland claims the Reds will officially begin talks with Newcastle in the coming hours to inform them that a written offer will be submitted. The Magpies value Isak at £150 million, but Arne Slot's side believe a bid of £120 million plus performance-related add-ons could secure a deal. Addressing the situation at the weekend, Howe said, "I wouldn't put a timescale on it. I think with these situations it has to be right for the football club, and everything then is taken into context below that. But the club will make the right decision with all the information that it has, and ultimately to try and move the club forward in whatever way that is. Then it's up to us to make good decisions the other way and try and improve the squad as best we can. That's what we're trying to do, regardless of Alex's situation. But I think there's a wider picture here. There's a whole football club that has to make the decision. The ownership, together with the board of directors, especially with the money involved in modern-day transfers. The manager of course has an opinion, but ultimately the decision will rest with the board. Alexander Isac wants Liverpool move, but NUFC hold the cards. It's no secret that Isak is keen on joining Liverpool, and according to Sky Sports Switzerland has already given the green light to personal terms. A 5-year contract has been duly finalized, and perfectly matches his salary expectations, the report reads. True or not, ultimately it's Newcastle that hold the cards. Isak, who still has 3 years left on his contract, is their player and should only be sold on their terms. Alexander Isac transfer reality clear as £340 million truth gives Liverpool edge over rivals. Liverpool have been the Premier League leading spenders in this summer's transfer window, but they still lag behind their rivals in recent years. It was back in 2021 when the chant was first aired. And it was given more than a few more renditions as Liverpool romped to a record-equaling 20th championship last season. The Reds have got no money, but will still win the league, came the cry from the Reds support, acknowledging what has long been regarded by some as the over-frugality of club owners Fenway Sports Group. Of course, Liverpool are by no means paupers and have consistently ranked in the top 10 of the Deloitte Football Money League, the accepted barometer of a club's financial standing in terms of revenue. But when it comes to splashing the cash in the transfer market, Liverpool haven't quite been on a par with many of their nearest rivals, not least last summer when only £10 million was spent to immediately bolster the squad with the arrival of Federico Chiesa, although a further £29 million was committed to bringing in Georgi Mamardashvili this season. That, though, has very much changed during this transfer window, with many eyebrows being raised at the uncharacteristically mammoth outlay that has seen Liverpool bring in 7 players, including club record £116 million arrival Florian Wirtz, and being prepared to break the British transfer record for Alexander Isac of Newcastle United while still seeking a new centre-back. It's not inconceivable the Reds end up splashing out almost £450 million this summer, underlining why it is important to recruit from a position of strength rather than rest on laurels. Progressive evolution should never stop. For historic comparisons, there are shades of the summer of 2018 that helped Liverpool to become European champions, the 7 new arrivals in 1999 that forged the foundation of the Cup treble-winning team 2 years later, or the attacking overhaul in 1987 that prompted one of their best sides ever. The Reds will hope for a similar return this time around. The careful financial approach of FSG over the years, the ability to gain top dollar from the sale of players and the income ultimately generated by subsequent triumphs on the pitch have ensured Liverpool have no issues at present regards the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules. And there is a sense the Reds are merely playing catch-up on those around them. Now, assessing transfer spends is often a fraught task. Clubs aren't always keen to release information on fees, and often they don't quite tell the full story, particularly when it comes to signing on bonuses and other hidden outlays. There are many, for example, who question Manchester City's purchase of Erling Haaland costing them the claimed £51 million, with some reports suggesting the overall spend could end up being in excess of £85 million. What Luis Diaz sale means for Alexander Isac transfer as Liverpool change stance. With Luis Diaz now set to depart Tokyo to complete the formalities of his £65.5 million move to Bayern Munich, attention inevitably now turns to what happens next for Liverpool. With Luis Diaz now set to depart Tokyo to complete the formalities of his £65.5 million move to Bayern Munich, attention inevitably now turns to what happens next for Liverpool. Having spent the thick end of £300 million during a summer transfer window of historical proportions, recouping a hefty sum for Diaz will go a long way towards redressing the balance, particularly given the need for further attention elsewhere. Liverpool, for their part, are stressing that the squad remains plentiful in attacking options, given the £79 million addition of Hugo Ekitike from Eintracht Frankfurt last week. With Mohamed Salah, Darwin Núñez and Cody Gakpo also still in place alongside Federico Chiesa and an increasingly emerging Rio Ngumaha, the key decision-makers at Anfield are insistent there will be no panic around Diaz's departure, even more so considering club record signing Florian Wirtz can operate as a false nine, and did so with much promise during an encouraging first half on Saturday against AC Milan. The elephant in the room, however, remains the interest in Alexander Isac. For a club who have already committed to the biggest spending summer in their history, a £65.5 million cash boost will be no bad thing if they are truly considering testing Newcastle's resolve over their want-away Sweden international. Magpies boss Eddie Howe confirmed late last week that there is no chance of Isak joining up with his colleagues in the Far East for their pre-season program, having initially cited a thigh issue to keep him off the tour. Since news of that apparent injury broke, the striker has communicated his desire to leave St James' Park. It seems inconceivable Isak will have agitated to leave this proactively and publicly without having at least one potential suitor waiting in the wings, and it's been reported by those connected in the northeast that Newcastle are now braced for a British record offer for their star man this week. How they react if and when those numbers are officially tabled is difficult to second-guess at this stage. Newcastle have been steadfast and consistent in their messaging around Isak not being for sale, but after the player himself made it clear he is seeking pastures, coupled with the struggle to land their primary targets, might a fee upwards of £120 million finally soften the stance. Liverpool already have Luis Diaz replacement, which explains Alexander Isac transfer plan. Liverpool have agreed a £65.5 million deal with Bayern Munich to sell Luis Diaz, and the winger's departure is expected to fund a bid for Newcastle star Alexander Isac. When Luis Diaz arrived at Liverpool in January 2022, his smile lit up the training ground. Then boss Jurgen Klopp admitted he hadn't seen anyone enjoy training as much as the Colombian did. Having moved sooner than expected to land him from Porto because Tottenham were sniffing, the Reds got a new weapon in a campaign they were fighting for 4 trophies in. Diaz was a big part in their League and FA Cup successes while they missed out on the Premier League by a point to Manchester City and suffered Champions League heartache against Real Madrid in Paris. But it was how quickly he settled which surprised most. Then captain Jordan Henderson even remarked how soon he found his, quite fast, feet at the club. With 41 goals and 16 assists in 148 games as well as a Premier League title and another League Cup to the previously mentioned trophies, Diaz has undoubtedly been a successful buy for £37.5 million. Now he is heading for the exit door, he will need to be replaced. But has he already? Diaz under Arne Slot has been more versatile than the left winger under Klopp. When Diogo Jota and Darwin Núñez were unavailable last season, he would be used through the middle. Slot wants a front line that can move about. He often frustrated with end product, sometimes a problem, but he could be lethal as he showed with a hat-trick against Bayer Leverkusen in November and a brace against Manchester United at Old Trafford in September. Now Liverpool have already agreed a £79 million deal to bring in Hugo Ekitike, and he is finding his feet on the summer tour out in Asia, which Diaz has just departed. It should be noted that Liverpool believe the France under-21 striker has the ability to play in more places than one in the front three. Ekitike is not Núñez's replacement for when he expectedly departs later this summer. Ekitike is the versatile forward to replace Diaz, it seems. That is why Liverpool remain on red alert when it comes to Alexander Isac. Because the Sweden hitman is the man they want as their new number 9 when Núñez leaves. Now should Newcastle fail to budge on their stance that he's not for sale, Liverpool are happy with Ekitike through the middle. Of course, they also have Cody Gakpo on the left, and teenage sensation Rio Ngumaha, even at just 16, is starting to push. Alongside Isak, Liverpool make contact to sign sensational striker. Liverpool are among a host of Premier League clubs eyeing a summer move for promising Met striker Idrissa Gueye, journalist Pete O'Rourke has claimed. The Reds have reportedly made an inquiry about the 18-year-old Senegalese forward following his breakout campaign in France's second division. Gueye has no shortage of suitors across Europe, with around a dozen clubs closely monitoring his situation, including Champions League sides Inter Milan and Borussia Dortmund. Metz are believed to be seeking a fee in the region of €20 million, £17 million, for the striker, who is under contract until June 2029. According to O'Rourke, several Premier League clubs have also inquired about Gueye recently, including West Ham, Sunderland, Crystal Palace and Brighton. The race for the 18-year-old has reportedly been ferocious this summer, with multiple clubs chasing his signature after a promising debut campaign in League Two. Gueye, who joined Metz from the Generation Foot Academy in January, scored 5 goals and provided 1 assist in 17 league appearances. He was also recalled to the Senegal squad for the June friendlies against Ireland and England but remained an unused substitute. Liverpool have already spent around £300 million on new signings this summer and are showing no signs of slowing down, with Newcastle United ace Alexander Isac now in their sights. The Sweden international has expressed his desire to depart for a new challenge before the window shuts, and Anfield is believed to be his priority destination. An official bid is said to be only a matter of time.